Good evening and welcome to our daily devotional reading. I hope you had a good day. I hope you've been gracious towards yourself today, kind towards yourself. And if not, you better start being kind towards yourself and show yourself some grace. Let's practice by sinking into the moment, allowing ourselves simply to be, to breathe, and nothing more. A long breath out. Two more times. In. In the stillness of your heart, of your being. In the stillness within, let's receive the words of Plato. Lysimachus. I am going to ask this favor of you, Socrates, as is the more necessary because the two counselors disagree, and someone is in a manner still needed who will decide between them. Had they agreed, no arbiter would have been required. But as Laches has voted one way and Nicias another, I should like to hear with which of our two friends you agree. A reminder that Socrates was asked for his opinion and he said, let the two older men speak first. And they have, and they disagreed. Socrates. What, Lysimachus, are you going to accept the opinion of the majority? Lysimachus. Why, yes, Socrates. What else am I to do? Socrates. Oh, and would you do so too, Melesius, if you were deliberating about the gymnastic training of your son? Would you follow the advice of the majority of us, or the opinion of the one who had been trained and exercised under a skillful master? Melesius. The latter, Socrates, as would surely be reasonable. Socrates. His one vote would be worthy more than the vote of all of us four? Certainly. Whoopsie daisy. And for this reason, as I imagine, because a good decision is based on knowledge and not on numbers. To be sure. Socrates, must we not then first of all ask whether there is any one of us who has knowledge of that about which we are deliberating? If there is, let us take his advice, though he be only one, and not mind the rest. If there is not, let us seek further counsel. Is this a slight matter about which you and Lysimachus are deliberating? Are you not risking the greatest of your possessions? For children are your riches, and upon their turning out well or ill depends the whole order of their father's house. That is true, Socrates. Great care then is required in this matter. Milesius, certainly. Socrates. Suppose, as I was just now saying, that we were considering or wanting to consider who was the best trainer. Should we not select him who knew and had practiced the art and had the best teachers? Milesius, I think that we should. Socrates, but would there not arise a prior question about the nature of the art of which we want to find the masters? Milesius, I do not understand. Socrates, let me try to make my meaning plainer then. I do not think that we have as yet decided what that is about which we are consulting, when we ask which of us is or is not skilled in the art, and has or has not had a teacher of the art. Nicias, why, Socrates? Is not the question whether young men ought or ought not to learn the art of fighting in armor? Yes, Nicias, but there is also a prior question, which I may illustrate in this way. When a person considers about applying a medicine to the eyes, would you say that he is consulting about the medicine or about the eyes? About the eyes. And when he considers whether he shall set a bridle in the horse, and at what time, he is thinking of the horse and not the bridle. True. In a word, when he considers anything for the sake of another thing, he thinks of the end and not of the means. Certainly. There is something at the edge of my memory about that, but I can't quite place it. Hence my pause, but I'll continue. Socrates, and when you call in an advisor, you should see whether he too is skillful in the accomplishment of the end which you have in view. Most true. Socrates, and at present we have in view some knowledge of which the end is the soul of youth. The battle for the soul. Yes, Socrates, and we are inquiring which of us is skillful or successful in the treatment of the soul, and which of us had good teachers. Laches. Well, but Socrates, that you never observe that some persons who have had no teachers are more skillful than those who have in some things? Socrates. Yes, Laches, I have observed that. But you would not be very willing to trust them if they only professed to be masters of their art, unless they could show some proof of their skill or excellence in one or more works. That is true. Socrates. And therefore, Laches and Nicias, as Lysimachus and Milesius, in their anxiety to improve the minds of their sons, have asked our advice about them, we too should tell them who our teachers were, if we say that we have had any, and prove them to be in the first place men of merit and experienced trainers of the minds of youth, and also to have been really our teachers. Or if any of us say that he has no teacher, but that he has works of his own to show, then he should point out to them what Athenians or strangers, bond or free, he is generally acknowledged to have improved. But if he can show neither teachers nor work, then he should tell them to look out for others, and not run the risk of spoiling the children of friends, and thereby incurring the most formidable accusation which can be brought against anyone by those nearest to him. As for myself, Lysimachus and Milesius, I am the first to confess that I have never had a teacher of the art of virtue, although I have always from my earliest youth desired to have one. But I am too poor to give money to the sophist, who are the only professors of moral improvement, and to this day I have never been able to discover the art myself, though I should not be surprised if Nicias and Laches may have discovered or learned it, for they are far wealthier than I am, and may therefore have learned of others. And they are older too, so that they have had more time to make the discovery. And I really believe that they are able to educate a man. For unless they had been confident in their own knowledge, they would never have spoken thus decidedly of the pursuits which are advantageous or hurtful to young men. I repose confidence in both of them, but I am surprised to find that they differ from one another. And therefore, Lysimachus, as Laches suggested that you should detain me, and not let me go until I answered. I, in turn, earnestly beseech and advise you to detain Laches and Nicias and question them. I would have you say to them, Socrates avers that he has no knowledge of the matter. He is unable to decide which of you speaks truly. Neither discoverer nor student is he of anything of the kind. But you, Laches and Nicias, should each of you tell us who is the most skillful educator whom you have ever known, and whether you invented the art yourselves or learned of another. And if you learned, who were your respective teachers, and who were their brothers in the art. And then, if you are too much occupied in politics to teach us yourselves, let us go to them, and present them with gifts, or make interest with them, or both, in the hope that they may be induced to take charge of our children and of yours, and then they will not grow up inferior and disgrace their ancestors. But if you are yourselves original discoverers in that field, give us some proof of your skill. Who are they who, having been inferior persons, have become under your care good and noble? For if this is your first attempt at education, there is a danger that you may be trying the experiment not on the vile corpus of a Carian slave, but on your own sons, or the sons of your friend. And as the proverb says, break the large vessel in learning to make pots. Let us then what qualities you claim. Tell us then what qualities you claim or do not claim. Make them tell you that, Lysimachus, and do not let them off. Lysimachus. I very much approve of the words of Socrates, my friends. But you, Nicias and Laches, must determine whether you will be questioned and give an explanation about matters of this sort. Assuredly, I and Melesias would be greatly pleased to hear you answer the questions which Socrates asks, if you will, for I began by saying that we took you into our counsels because we thought that you would have attended to the subject, especially as you have children who, like our own, are nearly of an age to be educated. Well then, if you have no objection, suppose that you take Socrates into partnership, and do you and he ask and answer one another's questions. For, as he has well said, we are deliberating about the most important of our concerns. I hope that you will see fit to comply with our request. Nicias. I see very clearly, Lysimachus, that you have only known Socrates as father and have no acquaintance with Socrates himself. At least you can only have known him when he was a child, and may have met him among his fellow wardsmen, in company with his father, at a sacrifice, or at some other gathering. You clearly show that you have never known him since he arrived at manhood. Lysimachus. Why do you say that, Nicias? Nicias. Because you seem not to be aware that anyone who has an intellectual affinity to Socrates and enters into conversation with him is liable to be drawn into an argument, and whatever subject he may start, he will be continually carried round and round by him, until at last he finds that he has to give an account both of his present and past life. And when he is once entangled, Socrates will not let him go until he has completely and thoroughly sifted him. Now I am used to his ways, and I know that he will certainly do as I say, and also that I myself shall be the sufferer. For I am fond of his conversations, Lysimachus, and I think that there is no harm in being reminded of any wrong thing which we are, or have been, doing. He who does not fly from reproof will be sure to take more heed of his afterlife, as Solon says. He will wish and desire to be learning so long as he lives, and will not think that old age of itself brings wisdom. To me, to be cross-examined by Socrates is neither unusual nor unpleasant. Indeed, I knew all along that where Socrates was, the argument would soon pass from our sons to ourselves. And therefore I say that for my part, I am quite willing to discourse with Socrates in his own manner. But you had better ask our friend Laches what his feeling may be. Laches. I have but one feeling, Nikias, or shall I say two feelings about discussions. Some would think that I am a lover, and to others I may seem to be a hater of discourse. For when I hear a man discoursing of virtue, or of any sort of wisdom, who is a true man and worthy of his theme, I am delighted beyond measure, and I compare the man and his words and note the harmony and correspondence of them. And such an one I deem to be the true musician, attuned to a fairer harmony than that of the lyre, or any pleasant instrument of music. For truly he has in his own life a harmony of words and deeds arranged. Not in the Ionian or the Phrygian mode, nor yet in the Lydian, but the true Hellenic mode, which is the Dorian, and no other. Such a one makes me merry with the sound of his voice, and when I hear him I am thought to be a lover of discourse. So eager am I in drinking in his words. But a man whose actions do not agree with his words is an annoyance to me, and the better he speaks, the more I hate him, and then I seem to be a hater of discourse. As to Socrates, I have no knowledge of his words, but of old, as would seem, I have had experience of his deeds, and his deeds show that free and noble sentiments are natural to him. And if his words accord, then I am of one mind with him, and shall be delighted to be interrogated by a man such as he is, and shall not be annoyed at having to learn of him. For I too agree with Solon that I would fain grow old, learning many things, but I must be allowed to add, of the good only. Socrates must be willing to allow that he is a good teacher, or I shall be a dull and uncongenial pupil, but that the teacher is younger, or not as yet in repute. Anything of that sort is of no account with me. And therefore, Socrates, I give you notice that you may teach and refute me as much as ever you like, and also learn of me anything which I know. So high is the opinion which I have entertained of you ever since the day on which you were my companion in danger, and gave a proof of your valor, such as only a man of merit can give. Therefore, say whatever you like, and do not mind about the difference of our ages. Thus far our scripture of the evening. I want to read again. Well, this whole last passage. Yes. But I also want to read again from the previous speaker. And I think that there is no harm in being reminded of any wrong thing which we are or have been doing. He who does not fly from reproof will be sure to take more heed of his afterlife after the being told what's wrong. As Solon says, he will wish and desire to be learning so long as he lives, and will not think that old age of itself brings wisdom. Do not think that old age of itself brings wisdom. Maybe that's all we need to ponder tonight. Do not think that old age of itself brings wisdom. You need to keep learning, to keep questioning yourself and allow yourself to be questioned by others. Not only about your words, but about your deeds. Because he only is admirable, respectable, who has a harmony of words and deeds. Okay. I'll just begin at the beginning tonight. Who do we listen to? One vote, the one vote which is more than the four. And then he says, ask the one who has knowledge and experience, I would add, because he does refer to having been trained and having practiced the art. Ask one who has knowledge and experience. What is the nature of the art? The art here is the soul of the youth. A reminder that Socrates was executed for corrupting the youth, which Plato goes to great pains to show that that was most definitely not what his master did. He wanted to beautify the youth. The minds of the youth. What is the art, the nature of the art? I just, instead of reading the mystics tonight between the text allocation and the recording, I read a letter from Rebecca. And I'll be seeing her in 2 weeks. Tomorrow, 2 weeks. But I cried because I miss her so much. And it's so beautiful, the things that both of us are working on in parallel without knowing it. And some of the things knowing, because she also, some of the things she responds to me and say, oh, I'm also doing that. And she's not watching this, because most of the things that she mentioned, I've mentioned here. She puts it very beautifully. There's the private and the public priestess, and she feels I can't remember the word she used. It was such a beautiful word. Spoil, but that's not the word she used. The knowledge of the private priestess, if she were to view the public one. A reminder that we're playing monastery here. And that's why I'm sitting here in this very warm cloak, despite the fact that it's freaking 30 degrees in my home. It's still warm outside. What is the nature of this art? Rebecca and I both had it about the art of living, about making art of your life, that you are your greatest art product. A reminder that she is an artist. and seeing that she has a little baby boy, very much motivated for the sake of the youth, for the next generation, for those to come. Proof of excellence. Now I have nothing to boast about myself, but seeing that I am speaking of Rebecca, let me boast about my system. I am one person whose life she has improved, deepened significantly, enriched, changed, to make it almost unbearably beautiful. I am so blessed in friendship. I've got the most amazing friends. I don't know what more to say. I think I spoke of everything I wrote down. It's quite a fun dialogue, this. Socrates is very much at the center, and the character of Socrates is very much being praised both for his deeds and his words and his way of being. And his love of learning. One must, or I do wonder now what, because I often hear about Socratic irony. If Socrates truly believes that he lacks the ability to speak of virtue, even though everyone around him tells him that he's the epitome, is that a word, of virtue. And maybe it's just the beautified Socrates that is this. Maybe Plato saw in him something that was still a little bit hidden, but only needed dialogues to bring forth. As he was a man, but there was something divine within him. Who do we listen to? The one vote that counts more than the multitude. Those we love. those who love us, and hence most definitely wish the best for us. Because something from Rebecca's letter and my feeling tonight, we're all still learning. We're all still fumbling along in this art which is called life, and we all only get a first draft. But what a joy, what a pleasure, how much fun it is to be making this art which is life, with others that are also in the game, also serious about playing, about creating something beautiful. And the word has become so, as you might have heard with Sarah here, so common in our group, if I'm still allowed to call it our group, about what we're realizing. Discovering together, making together, realizing together. It's happy tears. It's love that's flowing. My heart feels so full at this moment. Oh my God, my nose is gonna turn red. May you know this type of love, this flowing, filling, overwhelming love. Which is gratitude and joy and warmth and home, belonging. It's so beautiful, and I'm so honored to be able to feel it. Oh. Yeah, I should not wait this long before I book my next visit to her. May the spirit of Sophia be with you.